Spirit Halloween is one of the most unique retailers that has ever graced the face of North America. I have literally never seen a retailer resonate in the hearts of so many people. Seriously, the demographic of people who are obsessed with this store knows no bounds. From preschoolers to older folks, Spirit Halloween has been capturing the hearts of autism nationwide for years now. But why, exactly? What actually makes them so unique? Some of you may have been subscribed to me for a while and know quite a bit about me already. However, I have a feeling quite a few of you probably came from my TikTok page. So quite a few of you may be new to this side of the internet, but regardless, I'll explain everything to the best of my ability. Now, I'll just stop yapping and get on with it. When I was 6 years old, my parents took me to Spirit Halloween for the first time. It was 2009, and I had never heard of this store before. At the time, they actually weren't that well known. Immediately, I became entranced with one particular animatronic that they had on display, the Reaper of Souls. This thing was just so fucking awesome to me back then, and he still is. I loved him so much, I begged my parents for him over and over. And after talking to an employee, my mom learned about the 50% off sale that they host after Halloween. And on November 1st, we returned to get him. I still vividly remember the employee and my mom setting him up in the store just to ensure that he even worked, and then packing him back up again. Every year after that, we'd go back and there was always a new prop that I was always just obsessed with, and eventually, that led me to where I am today. To say November 1st, 2009 was the most important day of my life, so far, is still an understatement. That was the day that I essentially became myself. The phenomenon doesn't start or stop with me, though. Thousands upon thousands of other people have had similar experiences, at all different times and different ages. I was lucky enough to experience Spirit in their growing years, the golden age, as some would call it. Though the store has many things to love, the Spirit Halloween community is mostly built around one thing, and that's the animatronics. The animatronics of today carry a substantially different vibe than the ones of old. The same could be said for just about everything regarding the company, though. Anyone who's been a fan will know Spirit Halloween in the early 2010s was a completely different animal to what it is now. Despite the shift, however, they have not lost their ability to reel people in. Older Spirit animatronics have a certain charm that just can't really be recaptured, but that's not necessarily a bad thing to me. They really are a product of their time, and I honestly think they should stay that way. But clearly Spirit's doing something right still, because the new stuff is still winning people over. 2023 was genuinely one of Spirit's best years in a very long time. It was a great year. Everyone I know goes to Spirit for two reasons: costumes and animatronics. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You're going to Spirit Halloween for costumes, and you're with a bunch of friends. You get there, and you end up finding yourselves fucking around with these massive Hillary and Trump faces. Then one friend grabs your attention and tells you to come over here and look at something. Next thing you know, you're exploring the in-store displays, looking at the animatronics. Whether you're impressed by them, laughing at them, or punching them if you're one of those people, it doesn't matter. They found a way to grab your attention. It's memorable, and it's unique to the nature of the company. As with many other retailers, the stores are set up strategically to guide you from point A to point B, and so on. Your curiosity and Spirit's cunning layout work in tandem to try to make you leave with as much product as possible. Speaking of the in-store experiences, let's talk about in-store experiences, or ISEs for short. What is an ISE? It's these things, the cardboard displays that always house the animatronics. I won't go too in-depth because they honestly deserve a video of their own. To Spirit Halloween fans, the ISEs are probably like the second most important aspect of a Spirit Halloween, right behind the animatronics. But to regular people who don't really frequent the store, these things sort of just lurk in the background until you find yourself looking at the animatronics. Only then some people will actually make the decision to explore and discover what the display has to offer. And trust me, these displays reward your exploration. They are packed to the brim with a lot of little details. Especially if you're a Spirit fan. They've got quite a few nods to previous years, and it's really cool. Every year the ISEs are a different theme. For example, in 2021, it was the Halloween Factory, 2022 was the Monster Lab, and 2023 was Spirit Hollow's Cemetery. These displays provide so much atmosphere to the stores. A common thing I hear people say when describing a Spirit Halloween store is that it's like walking through a haunted house. And that's completely intentional. These highly themed displays only get more elaborate as time goes on. From featuring screens and hologram technology to featuring full-on walkthroughs, they provide most of the fun in a Spirit Halloween store, to my nerdy ass at least. And honestly, these provide a huge part of the experience. And though most of these displays kind of fly under the radar, they really do aid in, quite literally, the in-store experience. That's why they're called ISEs. As I said earlier though, the primary function of an ISE is to showcase the animatronics. Though some animatronics straight up do not fit in these themes, they're great at demonstrating how these props can be used in scenes. It's sort of a subconscious way of telling your customers, this is what you can do with our animatronics. To me, ISEs are just sort of 1/3 of the Spirit Halloween experience, and they're the most overlooked. But now that I've pointed them out and really drawn attention to them, could you imagine Spirit Halloween stores without them? So, if we've determined that the animatronics and the ISEs are mostly responsible for Spirit's memorability, what else could possibly be behind it? There are many subtle things at play. Just like every company, Spirit is doing what they can to stay relevant and talked about, such as following trends and employing new marketing strategies. A company built on creativity that enables a loyal, creative fan base should find new and creative ways to advertise, and they do. Spirit's most iconic way of advertising has always been their animatronic sneak peeks. In the early to late 2010s, Spirit would kick off the season by starting sneak peeks, where they'd release one new animatronic roughly every other day, until the lineup was eventually fully released and the stores were opening. It was a very fun and engaging way of advertising, and it was effective. Everyone loved this model, and when they tried something new in 2021, they introduced the fabled Graveyard Shift, which ushered in a new era for Spirit. Sneak peeks were gone, and instead we were subjected to batch releases. You know how some streaming services will just kind of make you wait and then release everything at once, or release a batch here and then a little more there? Yeah, that's what Spirit's started doing with animatronics. It works, but it kind of sucks. It really does suck half of the fun out of the experience. Maybe it's working better for Spirit, but for me, I miss the old sneak peek model. Regardless, they still have fun and inventive ways of presenting these releases. From the Graveyard Shift, where a timer counted down to the release of 10 props, 2022 was a little weird. This time they pulled a stunt called Experiment 1031, but instead of releasing 10 props for the first batch, they only released 4, which was definitely a little underwhelming, and it probably hurt them a little bit, but who knows? I don't know. I don't have their analytics, so I would not know. But 2022 in general was, in my opinion, the worst year for Spirit in a lot of regards, but that's a separate video. 2023 was much better, however. The first batch actually brought us a lot of cool and unique props, and as they kept releasing stuff, it only got better, really. Like I said earlier, 2023, hands down, one of their best years in recent years, I should say. Aside from the things Spirit has done themselves, there are also external factors for Spirit's success and notoriety, and the majority of that comes from the community around it. The Spirit Halloween/Haunter community is shockingly huge for how underground it still is. Most people are surprised when they discover that Spirit Halloween has its own huge and dedicated fandom, but it makes sense when you start to think about it. Spirit Halloween has created and influenced so many people, for better and for worse. Every year, Spirit Halloween enables generations of creative minds to push Halloween to its absolute limits. They have successfully found a way to cater to home haunters and people who otherwise can't afford to do professional Halloween stuff. They essentially sparked a new home haunting surge, and other retailers have hopped on this, realizing its potential. It's why the Home Depot, of all stores, is Spirit's biggest competitor right now. They saw this potential and struck gold when they introduced the 12-foot skeleton back in 2020. Their animatronic lineup has its own following now. And let's not forget Party City / Halloween City. They also have capitalized on this. Even Lowe's to a degree. But none of them really capture Spirit Halloween's essence. From the animatronics, the ISCs, the layout, the advertising, and what have you, and just the general vibe of the store. The caring and creative individuals behind Spirit have a way of enabling this generation's creativity that other places just don't have. And the heart and soul that goes into making every year memorable is absolutely palpable. In my opinion, Spirit Halloween is so fun that it's almost scary. Thank you for watching.